ladder. I think things are only going to get worse. I don't think most people understand how much trouble we're in. As I tried to make clear, I think the Russians will win in Ukraine. I think this will have negative consequences for Europe. It'll do significant damage to NATO. I think that nationalism is a growing force around the world. I think the liberal regimes that dominated during the unipolar moment in Europe are in trouble. I think if you look at the American domestic political situation, especially with regard to what's happening with Donald Trump and how he thinks about democracy, I think it's quite clear that the United States is in trouble. With regard to the Middle East, I think the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is only going to get worse. The idea that the Israelis are in the process of fixing this problem, I don't think is true. There's no solution to Gaza at the moment. The Israelis are in real trouble with regard to Hamas and with regard to Hezbollah and with regard to what's happening on the West Bank. You and I have talked here today about the Israeli-Iranian conflict. It's hard to see that one settling down. If anything, it's likely to remain a major problem moving forward. The Americans, of course, are joined at the hip with the Israelis, and the Israelis are in a position where they can drag us into all sorts of conflicts. And the Europeans, because they basically do whatever the Israelis want, are not in a position to put pressure on Israel to act more responsibly. The United States is not in a position to put pressure on Israel to act more responsibly. So the Middle East looks like a mess. Europe looks like a mess. And I think in many ways, the most dangerous situation, certainly from an American point of view, is East Asia and the possibility of a war between the United States and China. You raised the issue of Taiwan. I think it's more likely that we'll have a conflict over the South China Sea or the East China Sea. And then you go to the Korean Peninsula and you look at relations between North Korea and South Korea. And that's not a pretty story either. So there are just so many ways we can get into trouble moving forward. And it's just hard to see how you fix any of these problems. And I would argue, Paul, that if there were simple solutions, or let's put it differently, if there were solutions, feasible solutions, not simple solutions, feasible solutions, you and I would have spent a lot of time talking about those feasible solutions. But the fact that you couldn't raise them